Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da. Welcome to an update video about Planet Coaster 2 and the upcoming updates, I should say. Not only the one update 4, but also update 5. Here's a little glimpse of it, but before you expect me to go into that, no, spoiler, we're just going to go through the unlocked. And I do have some extra bits and pieces that Frontier has sent me in advance, mostly about what you've already seen, but we'll talk about that later. First of all, let's quickly go through the update video, because oh boy, there is a lot in here, and there is a lot of great stuff coming, including the brand new theme they have more or less teased at the end of the Planet Coaster 2 part for the update 5, which is the second next update. Obviously, if you've clicked on the thumbnail, you already know which one that's gonna be, but if you didn't, or if you have overseen it, well, here's a little cliffhanger. We're gonna talk about that later. However, I'm gonna go and switch over. Basically, I'm gonna beam myself, and for those of you who know, into the part that was in the unlocked. And they are showcasing, for the first time ever, the restaurants making a reappearance in a Planet game. This one being obviously a little bit of a different one. I'm gonna leave the footage running in the background, because for those of you who know Planet Zoo, they will actually notice a couple of differences, and I may say so, just very good ones. So the most noticeable one will be the footprint of the restaurant piece itself. Now, you still have the same kind of mechanic that you have some seatings that you will be connecting to your restaurant building. So the facility you put down is going to be the restaurant, but the tables will actually be the seating options, obviously. But the good bit is that, and you'll see that in a couple of seconds, the footprint has been reduced by 6 times, or to put it in different words, now I gotta do the math on the fly, which is not easy, because it's divided by 6, and it is, I don't know, 0.33, no, that's also wrong, I don't know what exactly that is, 1/6, so to say, because it's only one 4x4 tile instead of the horrendous 8 by, what was that, 12 or something like that, 8 by 12 meter footprint we had in Planet Zoo. And another change, which you're gonna see in a bit, is that the people will not be beamed to their seating. No, they will actually walk over there, and they will bring a wonderful table, not table, like a little, how's the thing called, like a tablet or something like that, you know, where they put the stuff on. So that is really cool, and it seems to be that the cashier is also accessible from various sides, which is kind of cool, or 2 sides maybe. But this is the restaurant kitchen, as you can see, and you can place it down. As far as I understood, you can also place multiple ones down to have like a multi-layer restaurant, which is kind of cool, and you can see the shop ingredients with all the different allergy types and so on the right hand side. So that is pretty damn cool, and you can then place down your stools, your tables and stuff down. As you can figure, most likely they are similar to what we have in Planet Zoo. The style has been changed a little bit according to this game. I do say that these stools or chairs you can see on the left hand side, the more plasticky ones, not the sofas, but actually those, they look really cool, very theme parky. I do like it. Other than these a little bit more cozy restaurant things we have in Planet Zoo. I really do like the fact that people now do stand up and actually walk there. They do get their stuff from the cashier or like from the kitchen and then walk to their places, adding that extra bit of realism, which I do really like. And one thing that's also really cool is if you now have this restaurant area over here and you do put a kind of extra table down, which they are going to do in a second over here, so you can see basically these are the ones eligible for the restaurant, which is pretty cool. Let's have a look. There are a couple of those in. I did not expect them to be in. So you can see this little what was that, fork and spoon icon. So it's not only the 2 we do see over here, we also do see a couple of the existing ones being eligible to become a restaurant now too, which I think is fairly cool. So those 2 standard ones have been added, but then also you can make yourself like a bit more of a rusty area and theme it according to what, but you also have this typical kind of picnic area, which is super cool. But if you take one and you do snap this into the region, then the game will recognize, yeah, okay, this is part of your area, and will automatically then connect this to your restaurant section, which I feel like is a very good addition, because then you don't need to link it, complicate it again, and it automatically is connected to that area. So really cool stuff. And I'm gonna just show you real quick over here. They have built another restaurant over here. the Chief Beef Steakhouse, and you'll see in a couple of seconds that there is going to be the people walking. As you can see there, they have the trays actually in their hands, and they're going to walk over to their tables. I personally think this is more than expected. Yet again, Frontier doing that little bit of extra work here to not only copy paste the function from Planet Zoo, but making that ever so slightly better. Love the fact they're eating from the trays over here rather than just having the same food as from the other restaurants, giving this bit more restaurant feel over here. Really am a big fan of this change, and also it just works better with the full day life cycle in this game, because it, as you can see over here, people walking over. I am a big fan of the fact that you have the time now that people can go to a restaurant and it's still very realistic, because the full day cycle takes so long that they can spend the time here. Apparently in Planet Zoo it was also shortened a little bit, the time spent on their tables was very, very short. Lovely how you can see the meals over here. God, I'm so happy how they did this. Next up are pools, and I'm gonna switch over this one very quickly because there's this portion of the stream was way longer than it needs to be, because the change they did, and this is a very welcome one, is you can now change the color of the water and the color of the tiles. While in this build we see on screen, unfortunately, the tile stuff wasn't ready yet, but the murkiness or the water clarity and the lighting glow is available as a changing option. Just gonna zoom forward a little here. You can see they're making this in different type of colors. One thing I do love also is the little waves, the ripples over here you can see on the water. Just get a bit of a different contrast if you change the water. But now you can also make, and I'm looking at you, Sage Plays, some proper lakes now, because lakes will now look apparently way better with a typical shading of a lake, and you can make lagoons, proper lagoons, and yet that little bit extra to make your pool areas even so much more good. Then also, I mean, they showcased that you can also change the tiles later on, but apparently, as I said, that wasn't working in this thing over here. But they also, and this is so cool, they also thought about these in-game water pieces that you can use, in case you have never seen them. They are in-game from the first day, and I've used them as windows, apparently, but that's a different story. These ones are also FlexiColor now, where you can change them into different types of, water color and whatnot, and then use them in your dark rides, for example. Another thing they're adding, and this is literally one of those special things I like Frontier about, so I like them for that so much. You can now change the option of coaster supports being on pathways. Let's see if I can find this little menu icon over here. They have, or where do they? There you go. This is where they go. And now you can also say, oh wait, hold on. Where is this? Is that the same? Is that the right menu? Are they clicking on the next menu now? So you'll be able to see that as well. So there you go. Allow coaster supports on path. You can now allow that, and you can also allow the interchangeable coaster cast, by the way, and you can coaster going off track during editing. These type of things you can now edit. I'm not sure if that was in game already, but if not, it's the thing. But the cool bit about this, and I found this very annoying too, because realistically in theme parks, it's part of the fun of theme parks to have these coaster supports. By fun I mean it's just realistic to have them on your pathway. And now with the new pathing tool, you naturally have just way more plazas and bigger areas. Specifically for my, Hanseatic Dreamland, that comes in super handy, and I'm definitely going to turn that on. Hopefully they also will have kind of a natural barrier in it, so that people will not run through it or clip through it. But even then, I think I would take that trade-off to not needing to make these all custom supports. That would be painful. So yeah, that's what they had, and they also showcased some maps of Act 2 of the scenarios will be coming as Sandbox maps. Okay, check. That's very easily explained. Then they also showed briefly the D-themed coasters that are coming. So that obviously is the B&M flying coaster, which was themed by the Stingray appeal, is now going to be de-themed, as you can see over here. And another one, I do have the original clip of the next one as well available to have it in full glory. So I'm gonna plop this on later so we have a little look on that. But yeah, very much in love with this change. You also have the mouse being one, as you can see over here. The wild mouse is now also a D-themed one without the mouse on it, so you can theme the wild mouse into a wild frog if you fancy doing so. That is a change, very welcome indeed. And switching over, there is going to be a returning ride, the scissor or skizzer, depending on how you want to pronounce that. Again, a returning ride from the first time. I gotta say, this one is something I'm a little bit excited about because it's such a generic kind of classic that is also, its footprint isn't too big, so you can put that in various areas of your park, and it's like super customizable. You can theme that into literally anything if you want to. Speaking of, there was one more tease in this section of Planet Coaster, and this tease actually was for the upcoming theme. And no, update 4 doesn't receive a theme. We are talking about update 4 in a second, but I'm gonna spoil this already because this would also make for a very cool kind of sci-fi ride, wouldn't it? And yes, the sci-fi theme is going to return with update number 5. They teased this by a little bit of a pun game. They said they are laser focused on bringing a theme to the future, and once this is going to be released, it's not sci-fi anymore, but it is actually real. And so yeah, if that wasn't enough of a hint, you know. And then also obviously they brought up the brand new roadmap, but I have it in full clarity here as an image, so thank you Frontier for that, so we can zoom in a little and go over it a bit closer with high resolution, which hopefully helps you. So apparently we have received update 3, it's live, and now we are looking at the next one. April 22nd, Tuesday, is going to be the targeted day, by the way, where they're going to drop this one. It's going to receive the restaurants, we've seen that. We also will receive the career maps, we've seen them. We got the coaster stock cars, as you've seen the 2. We have the returning flat ride, and we will have adjustments to enhancements, ongoing stability and performance enhancements. And if we go over to those 2, just as a comparison, they also brought us some new stuff in these things later on. So maybe there's going to be more in that list once the update really hits. I mean, it's over 20 days away from us, almost like 4 weeks still. So there can still be stuff coming, and you can also see further content and detail will be forthcoming. Please keep an eye on social channels for more information, because they will be reworking the Frontier Workshop as announced, but they are not fully sure if this is going to be dropping in April or May, because they want to do it right and they want to make it working for all platforms. So that might actually be pushed into May, but you can see there was always more than what we've seen in the preview. And now for May, we have our big feature. The security guards are returning, and you can see there is going to be pickpocketing and vandalism, but we will also get our security cameras back. I'm already very much thinking if you can attach them to any moving part, that's going to be fun, because then you essentially get a free camera arm to yourself if you want to. Obviously, I'm looking forward to that, to finally have some very cool cinematic stuff with the help of these CCTV cameras, but that shall be not my biggest part. Also, stock coasters are going to return, and stock coaster Kasachenzo, and the returning flat ride, the Trident, which is pretty cool. I'm just gonna see if I can find an image real quick to bring that up, because I did not to just see what that was. Returning flat ride, the Trident, not sure which one that is. I mean, you gotta figure out, we have that in the game. Not sure which one exactly that is. Should be in the Planet Coaster Wiki, but yeah, I don't know. It's one of the flat rides, which is pretty cool. Is that a flat ride though? I think it is, right? But yeah, so very cool to know that these things are coming back. As always, it's very, very cool to see these returning, basically free rides, if you will, which is really, really cool. And again, with the Western set in here, you should see a toggle over here that says Sci-Fi then, because it basically has been approved by that. So yeah, gosh, guys, I'm so happy. Not because it is like content-wise mega, but like looking at some of the pictures, and I've got some extra pictures over here that haven't been shown from this very restaurant over here, as you can see. Very, very nice. But like this picture over here is what I really wanted to look at real quick at the end of the video. So you can see them queuing for this counter over here, receiving their food. There is this lovely little kitchen. By the way, this is one of the first facilities which is again fully themed. I'm a little bit staggered that there is no one working in the kitchen over here. I hope they change that, because that's just kind of would be a bit of a weird one, but as I said, it's a work in progress, so maybe that's why. Loving the fact that you have the option now to also have different levels where they can walk up to their different chairs and tables and whatnot and then eat from the food, even with some forks over here, which also looks pretty promising. So yeah, I am, as you can tell, very excited about this because it just makes the game full. And I just said to my brother a couple minutes earlier that I feel like the game is now in a state where I feel like I said it was at the break even, and now it's adding pieces to it to really become good. And if I may estimate that, we are looking at update number 5 in May, which means there is still some time towards the end of the year, towards holiday season. So if they continue the pattern, I'm just gonna go back to the roadmap real quick. If they continue the pattern of having every second update the original theme returning, which means by May we would have basically checkmark 2 of the 4, and then you go to, you know, May, and then we've got June, nothing, but July we would then be getting, let's say, Fairy Tile, and then there's like August, which is nothing, and then you go, but August, September. In September you would have then the last one, which is that spooky, or is it pirate? Should be pirates, I guess. You would have pirates, and then obviously September, then we go into October, and November marks obviously the first year anniversary, and by then you would have the chance to drop a mega DLC and a mega update, if you will. If that all goes to plan, I say they have a strong chance in recovering. However, I don't know if people will notice. Looking at the Steam reviews lately, they have been in relation very positive. So update 3 seems to really turn around the opinion of the people playing the game still. But that's exactly where the issue comes in. Too little, too late, because there still is no real change in a player base. And I'm gonna do something which I've rarely done, and basically is something every game should be able to do itself. But I know that a lot of people of you watching my stuff are not playing anymore, for various reasons. Some of you may not have the time, some of you just may miss certain specific features. I know that some of you want swing launches. There's a lot of people loving swing launches. Other people lack the novelty in the game. Other than water parks, they want mini golf and so on. I know, but what I really would encourage you to do is, if you watch these videos and you are a fan of this genre and you want to have this genre still keep the chance to become bigger and better, I'd say jump back into the game, give it a chance again, because there's one thing I can't show you on screen, and that is the change in feeling. The last update, in my opinion, brought something to the table, pun intended, and that was the feel. It feels like a Planet game again. Not sure what they have changed over time, but a lot of these changes on the UI and so on make it a proper Planet game again for me. There is still a lot of quirks, and I will make a dedicated video on weather in a couple of days again, because I still can't get over the fact that they are ignoring the weather. But again, I want to balance out my feedback. Yes, there is still a lot to be fixed, and there is still a lot of bugs that need to be solved, but if the bug list is in every update so big as it used to be, we are in for a treat, I guess. And yeah, my personal opinion is that the game deserves your chance, that the game deserves your attention. Give it a try, and if it still doesn't feel right, hey, you spend maybe half an hour trying out again, and then wait for the next update. But if not, you will notice that this game is very much worth playing again, and hopefully so we can turn it around and encourage everyone to have a look again at this game. That's something I really wanted to say, because I lately really felt like this game made its turnaround, and it's still far from being perfect, but we are back on track, you know. Actually, the game's launch was so far off track that no one knew if we will ever make it back to track, but yeah, we're getting there. So thank you for watching this update video. Hopefully you're as excited as I am. And as always, don't forget to subscribe if you want to have more of these news update videos, and apparently also building videos, POVs, other games, and whatever. Thank you so much. I talk to you in the next one. Good.